Hey, how's it going? This is Personal Foul Sports. My name's Travis Anderson.
And I'm Calvin Swanson.
Bitch.
Oh, hey now, that's a personal foul. He's calling me out and I haven't even said anything about sports yet.
I was calling them a bitch.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
You know, all three of them. Well, we're recent graduates.
Yep, we're both BAs.
Very BA. I'm a recent graduate from the University of Minnesota. Just got my degree in journalism, minor in sport management. Don't have a job.
Yeah, I was just across the pond from him. Or the river, however you want to say. I was in Augie. And also unemployed, so personal foul sports, unemployed sports, what's the difference?
Well, as you know, we have a lot of free time, so we figure
watch a lot of sports.
Ready? Watch
And
a lot
we
of
know a lot about sports.
We do. Watch a lot of local sports. And speaking of local sports, there was a pretty big game last Sunday.
Yeah, Jaguars Titans.
Jaguars Titans. Oh,
that's what I was watching, yeah.
I was thinking
there's
Bears
no
Lions, but
Yeah, I suppose. Both those teams are sitting at home.
Yeah. Well, thanks in part to the Vikings, who defeated the Packers here at the Metrodome on Sunday.
Maybe we should talk about that game.
You think so?
Yeah, I was there, so it might be kind of a big deal. It's probably on TV.
Yeah.
You might have saw me.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry for those people that had to suffer through that, but
Indeed.
People did not suffer through what was probably the best game I'd ever watched, and I've watched a lot of football in my day.
Definitely the best Week 17 game I've ever seen.
Defeating a division rival, bouncing another division rival out of the playoffs, and preventing the Packers from having a first-round bye.
Yep. And setting up a rematch next week.
And a rematch next week. This team was 3-10 or 3-13 last year. Looked terrible going into this year. Defense wasn't expected to do anything, and
best player on the team had just come off ACL surgery,
and a lot of question marks surrounding Peterson. And to go and win 10 games this year, I think, is unbelievable. But the only reason we're in the playoffs is we did beat the Packers in a must-win game. And tell me, what was kind of the keys of the game as you were there watching it?
I think the big key of the game, watching the game there, was that huge pass that wasn't really a completion, but was in the game. Jarius Wright coming in, catching that bobbled ball, went up in the air, diving in, catching that ball, and luckily the Packers had no timeouts left. We went down and scored on that drive and put some points on the board, and obviously winning by 3, every point counts.
Huge play there. You can maybe attribute this guy for yelling so loud and maybe forcing a few timeouts, and Packers couldn't do much about it. First half, our defense played well enough to keep them in. After that, Winfield went out injured, and the secondary got burned by one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But I think there's a few key plays, and I want to mention a couple defensive players. One of my favorites, Everson Griffin, 4th-round pick, troublemaker at USC. He's become a man this year. He has 8 sacks, including 3 yesterday, and I like the one where he kind of spun the guy around and threw him down like he was in a wrestling mat.
Yeah, that was, I think on the board, that was the knock of the game.
Yeah.
Rowdied us up in the Dome.
That place was thunderous, I imagine. Another big play. Vikings didn't turn it over at all.
Yep.
That was the key. I mean, Ponder's known to throw interceptions, fumble, do everything, but he held his composure. And the only interception, it wasn't an interception. The only fumble came from Aaron Rodgers, which Brian Robinson, playing with a bum shoulder, came in there, forced it, and we won the turnover battle.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the game, I was sitting next to a Packer fan. He looks over at me. He goes, "Hey, there's our best player on the team," pointing to Christian Ponder. Not today, buddy. Not today.
No. Ponder looks like ever since he tied the knot, he's not as nervous out there. He's playing confidently, and
he doesn't have to worry about his fiance running out on him anymore. So it's like, I'm gelling now.
He's the man. Another huge play, I think. Second half, Packers marched down the field, tied it at 27.
Yep.
Next possession, we start out about the 20-yard line, somewhere in there, and first play action, Christian Ponder, 65-yard completion to Jarius Wright. Longest pass play, I believe, of Ponder's season, to open it up, have that run game kind of suck in defenders and get single coverage on Wright, who's a very fast player. I thought was just awesome and gutsy, and it set up another touchdown to go ahead.
Usually, you think biggest play of the game, AP. Not this week, which was nice.
It was a nice change of pace. It's good to see him passing the ball a little bit. So,
of course, probably the next biggest play was AP. there in that last drive.
Yeah.
You got to love that. I mean, they're on the 48-yard line. He needed 46 to get the record. Unfortunately, he was tackled at about the 11, but 37-yard pickup put us right on the 11-yard line with 20 seconds left. We ran down that clock. Boom. Best kicker in the league comes out.
Yeah, Blair Walsh, the most impressive. Some years maybe he would win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't know. Unfortunately, this year there's some pretty tough competition. But speaking of awards, MVP, I mean, there's two pretty high candidates. You can make your case for Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. But there's two that really stick in mind.
At the end of the time, there's going to be one of two guys. That's who's going to get the votes.
Yeah, Travis, who would you pick to be this year's MVP? Looking
out of the two between Manning and Peterson, I can't really be mad with either of them winning it. But I think I'm going to have to argue for Peyton. I mean, he's second in completion percentage, 68.6. He's got 37 touchdowns versus only 11 interceptions. Plus, they're an 11-game win streak. Last season, he didn't even play. A lot of people thought he was going to have to retire. He came to a new city, a new system, going from turf to grass. He has, QBR 84.1. He's got the second highest ranking in the league with 105.8. He's thrown once again for over 4,600 yards. I mean, the guy is consistent and he's a beast. I mean, I don't see how you could.
Best quarterbacks ever.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree. Most years that could probably win the MVP. My rebuttal is he played 6 games against the Chiefs, Chargers, and Oakland. Christian Ponder could almost put numbers up like that against those awful teams. Maybe not quite, but I think his opposition wasn't as tough. He has good receivers, Eric Decker, Demaryius Thomas, two very good receivers, I think. I actually really like that combination. And the team made the playoffs last year with Tim Tebow, so he's got a lot of talent around him. He's thrown into a good situation. So
yeah, but I mean, they were 8-8 last year.
Yeah.
Barely scraping into the playoffs. And now what happens this year? 13-3, number 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah, so it's hard to argue. Well, but I'm gonna, for the sake of this.
Okay.
There's this guy, we're number 28 in Minnesota, as we talked about earlier, that had one of the most gutsy seasons I've ever seen. One of the most spectacular things. I mean, coming off an ACM, MCL. I'm no doctor, but I mean that is a major surgery on your leg, and the fact that 1 year after his surgery, he busted for more than 2,000 yards on that same day. 1 year after the surgery.
Yeah.
Most players don't even come back from this, especially a running back, he's averaged 6 yards a carry, which most, Arian Foster is around 4 yards a carry, and he's one of the best running backs in the league. I mean, all his yards after contact, he has more than 1,000 yards after he's been hit. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, usually, that 1,000-yard mark is a good mark for the season. He has it after first contact. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and, last 10 games, I saw a stat out there on Twitter, more than 1,500 yards rushing in the last 10 games. And last 10 games, most of those were without Percy Harvin, who's, besides Rudolph, is about the only other threat on the offensive side of the ball. So, defenses were stacking up against this guy. And just the heart and will, soul power he had to plunge through. I don't see why. He took a 3-13 team to 10-6. I see no reason why he isn't the MVP.
Yeah, I think definitely, both good cases for both of them. Hey, why don't you tell us who you think's going to be MVP? Right down there in the comments down below.
Yeah, we want to hear. We want to argue. We're all about that.
Yeah, we'll reply to you.